In today's clip, I'm going to just talk about how curious Godzilla, the king of monsters, appears to me, at least before I watch the awesomeness that is gonna be Godzilla vs. Kong, okay? Hey, XenPuck here. It's the middle of the week and I love this series of clips where I just talk about something silly or fun that I enjoy. And oh boy, I have finally just watched Godzilla King of Monsters. And that's because, you know how this year HBO is showing most of their movies on HBO Max as well at the same time as the theaters. So Godzilla vs. Kong is already up there. It's going to be there for a month. I like the service. I pay for it myself. This is not an advertisement for the HBO Max. But I figured I should probably watch the last Godzilla movie, right, King of the Monsters, before I see Godzilla vs. Kong, because I've already seen Kong Skull Island. So, watched it last night, and boy, I had so many follow-up questions, especially about the titular character of Godzilla. So, cut to the chase. Here they are in no particular order whatsoever. Right? Number one. Is Godzilla's face kind of cute? I mean, I was watching this with my wife and she thought so. But I wasn't sure whether she thought so because his head was like little. I thought, you know, usually people like bigger heads, you know, like super deformed bodies but big heads, like those Funko Pops, and that's what's cute. But she thought Godzilla's face looked kind of cute. I just can't get over the fact that the size of his head seems very tiny compared to his massive body size, right? Like, even if his head was the size of a T-Rex, like the late 90s American version of a Godzilla, I actually remember thinking, you know, not thinking, but reading about how dinosaurs such as T-Rexes have relatively small sizes for even their size. So what does that mean for Godzilla? Because he has an even smaller dome, presumably meaning an even smaller brain relative to his really, you know, very wide. He looks like a very triangular girth, right? Or am I fat shaming the kaiju? I mean, is he just a bit of overweight after having spent centuries asleep? Or is he like a bear post-hibernation, right? Because I feel like in that case, you'd think that he'd be out of nutrients after a long nap. I mean, I would love to see more of these movies. Maybe Godzilla could in fact reach a more svelte shape like a basketball player someday? Starts doing commercials for nutrisystems for men? One can only dream. Observation number two. There's always a scene in Godzilla movies where he's entering the field, you know, from the ocean, you know, to a city or something, if I'm not mistaken. He's always walking upright when that happens. So, like, does he walk on the ocean floor like a hippo, or does he swim and eventually go bipedal mode when he's closer to shore? I mean, he looks very large and powerful, right? He feels very powerful, so I'd like to think that he's more like a hippo who is so dense and just trots along the ocean floor, right? Though I think this preference is biased personally, because this would make me feel like I have more in common with him, you know, because we both then be the guys who don't know how to swim, right? Observation number three. How fast exactly does Godzilla actually travel, right? I'm reminded of this as he was coming into the scene hot at the end of the movie, right? Like his last, you know, major geographic change. He was flanked by the American Air Force, and this whole group seems to be approaching the shore at similar speeds, and yet one is a giant floating monster, and the rest were high-tech, like, stealth fighters slash bombers. They look like, you know, B-8s or B-117s. I mean, I didn't think that those planes could fly at low speeds. So how can this particular group approach information in any sense of that word, formation? I mean, just think back to the last time you played Age of Empires and trying to, you know, rally and move all your troops together with both cavalry and infantry and siege. The whole formation would slow to a crawl to basically the speed of the slowest unit, right? Except here, the cavalries are airplanes, so how does the airplane, which presumably have a very high, relatively high speed floor, slow itself down so that it can approach at the same speed as Godzilla. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe Godzilla is like surprisingly fast. Yeah. Observation number 4. Why does Godzilla need teeth? I mean, you could see that he's got some, right? Not like the giant canines like, you know, jaguars or saber-toothed tigers. Just kind of stubby ones that look like it'd be good mostly for chewing smaller things, or maybe if he's a vegetarian? Still, spoiler alert, okay, Godzilla obviously by the end of the movie King of Monsters, he triumphs over the other big bad monster and chews out that guy's head at the very end, okay? But here's where my teeth question comes in, right? Because Godzilla does not actually, you know, eat the head or chews it to bits or anything like that. He just kind of chomps on it for a bit and then liquefies it with his mouth beam blast, whatever. I think it's called the atomic blast, okay? Okay, cool, awesome. But if you have a atomic mouth beam blast that can just disintegrate stuff, then why do you need teeth at all? I mean, laser beam seems always more powerful than just bites, you know, from teeth that are presumably made out of the same stuff as human teeth, like calcium, right? Bite force of calcium versus atomic beams. I mean, there's a clear winner here. Observation number 5. So how does Godzilla deal with flying threats? I mean, I don't understand why King Ghidorah, which I already said, spoiler alert, the villain of, you know, Godzilla King of Monsters, he's got wings, right? I don't understand why King Ghidorah doesn't just try to fight Godzilla, you know, from the air, just kind of hover outside of melee range and blast Godzilla with his own electric beams or whatever. I mean, I know Godzilla's got his atomic mouth beam thing, right? But honestly, unless he's got that Game of Thrones Season 8 magic Euron, Dragon Slayer, plat armor type of aim, it's not that easy to hit a moving target in the air with just a single cannon, right? Maybe I missed something. Maybe Godzilla can jump really high, like the Hulk, if he wants to. I mean, that makes sense considering how giant his, you know, hams look, at least compared to his tiny little raptor arms. Finally, last observation point. I love how occasionally Godzilla will take a moment to at least look at the tiny humans. I mean, does that make sense? I suppose occasionally, once in a blue moon, when I was a kid, I would also look at a line of ants on the ground, but I probably wouldn't think of them at all if my mom was calling me to dinner or something. I'd turn around and step on them a few minutes later. Like, it's... I wouldn't care because they're just ants to me, right? Yet Godzilla somehow generally either ignores humans or only deals with other monsters. In this way, isn't Godzilla literally more moral than even human beings? Like, sure, we made him up and we made him a force of destruction and a force of nature. But even so, we made him so that he literally goes out of his ways to not crush puny humans that, you know, needlessly, right? Even though these are puny humans that cannot possibly comprehend what's going on in his giant monster-esque point of view, right? Why would a god amongst us care about us at all? Like, you know, in any sense of the word. Anyway, I watched Godzilla King of the Monsters because I needed the context before watching Godzilla vs. Kong. And to be honest, I was pretty pleasantly surprised. This is a fun movie. I mean, I was super curious, you know, outside of the monster, why did they get all these famous, relatively, you know, people that you recognize, good character actors and actresses in this movie at all? Like, I mean, I'm watching a Godzilla movie. I only care about the giant monsters shooting beams at each other, okay? The humans could have been a strong string of C-listers for all I cared. But hey, I guess movie studios can feel free to waste money on, you know, real talent when the budget could have all gone to CGI if they want. Now, have you seen all the kaiju movies, and do you also have a soft spot for the hammy goodness that's inevitably coming in this genre? If you do, or not, comment, like, subscribe, share, and all that. Or whatever. Till next time, cheers.